Welcome, everyone. We're back again for another wonderful member highlight for Success Story Wednesdays for the Spirit Born Imaginings group. And we are so excited to be able to bring so many varied people that are members of our group that just to give their unique perspective on what they do, what their mission and vision of in life is, and the kind of people that they serve. So we're so happy to Jan and I to welcome Jose here today to share a little bit about what he does. So I'll toss the baton to you, Jose, and you can maybe explain a little bit about what you do and who you serve.
Hello, how are you? Thank you very much for having me. Well, today I decided to pivot my career, and I'm a leadership and resilience coach. I serve CEOs and entrepreneurs to unleash their unbreakable spirit that they have inside to become great leaders. Because sometimes people are stuck in their situation. They're having things like communication problems or planning a strategy, setting goals, many things. I help them. Why? Because I come from that experience and have been doing leadership position all my life, but I went through my survivor experience when I became a hostess that I decided to combine both things. And I created my coaching program. It's called Life Pill for a Survival Guide, LPSG. And it's basically the combination of the leadership and resiliency. By the way, today I have my newsletter that I talk about leadership and resiliency. And also I began my own podcast in a Christian channel called Building Resilience that I talk about leadership and resiliency. So these are my two really main topics today. And I created my own speech based on this. That I have basically two speech. One of them is called From Captivity to Freedom, where I talk about how you can overcome adversities in life. And the other is the 4X tools to grow and become a great leader. Because what I do, I explain things that we did during our captivity that really you can apply in your life to become a great leader. And the third thing is that I wrote my book. So I wrote my book, and that is what I really promoting in the maybe the last month. That for me is well, that's my baby. But I say always that my book has like a 3 legs. The first one is the story, the situation that happened to me, and because for me it was important to tell the story because when we went through our situation, our case hit the press, but we were always called the Citgo 6. So there was no faces, there was no story behind. We were like a brand. So now I'm telling the story. What happened there? And second, part of my advocacy is try to stop this type of thing that's happening that is called the hostage diplomacy. Yesterday, we saw there was a prisoner swap with people that came from Russia. There's a guy there that came back yesterday, Paul William, that had 6 years in captivity in Russia. And by the way, I know his sister because I attended a panel some months ago with her. And because you get connected to the family. And for me, part of my advocacy with my book is try to raise the awareness on that situation. And the third thing is what I call my legacy. That is that even in the darkest moment in your life, even if you're going to any situation in life, you always will have the tool to survive, because that comes from your inner self. It is here in your mind. It comes from the grace of God. So if you really tap on that, you can overcome anything in life. And I'm a proof of that. So this is basically what I am today. It's a little long, but that's me.
Oh, no.
Awesome.
Yeah, not long at all. Quite amazing. And I love the fact that you focus on that power within, or well, outside and within, to overcome such challenging situations, because I think that each person has those situations. They may not be sometimes you're a hostage to yourself, you're limiting yourself so much that it's kind of, you're imprisoned within your own, thought patterns and beliefs or whatever.
Correct.
But then also there are other situations where I think we just get, smaller situations where we just get stuck and we get to the point where we can't see out, it's like we don't see a way to get out anymore. And we just need someone there to tell us, or to share or to actually exchange with us so we can actually begin to delve a little deeper so that we see that kind of like that opening or the light in the tunnel. And we're like, oh, okay, there is light here somewhere.
Sometimes you have the solution more near to the you that you believe. Sometimes you have it in front of you, but the problem is that when you're in any situation in your life, any situation, anybody that's hearing this can think in any situation they're going in their life. Sometimes you don't see the solution because you're so overwhelmed. You lose the focus in the situation, and then you begin to get anxiety and depression, and you don't see the solution. And maybe the solution you have it there in front of you. So when you refocus yourself and you begin to really think in a more positive way, you begin to see the light after the tunnel.
Yeah.
Because everybody has that force inside.
Yeah.
A power within.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's so true. I mean, obviously not to the same extent as you've experienced, Jose, but for sure, even when I'm working with my own clients, that they have wonderful missions and visions as entrepreneurs, but there is so much noise coming at us at all times. It's just like sometimes it's really hard to block out some of that noise, and that's what I find. Like most of my most recent clients, when I've been working with them and for something that's like for their brand and their logo for their actual business, it's like for them, they have wonderful purpose behind what they're doing, but they can't figure out what to do first. It's like that overwhelm, like you were speaking to, is like, it's so powerful. And so they do nothing. They sit still and do nothing.
I received a call. That basically is what you're saying. I received a call that somebody that I'm working that she has built a great community, and she has done it great. But she was calling me yesterday because somebody began to give him some bad
Like
there was something going there that I'm not going to mention it. And she called me. I said, why don't you believe in yourself? And you're doing it great. I can tell you, you are doing it great. But sometimes you are your own problem when you don't believe in yourself. And let me tell you, she's doing great. She's a great person. I attend her events and they are wonderful. I enjoy it. Why don't you believe in yourself? Sometimes the problem is yourself.
Yes. It's amazing too how there can be so many positive things happening in our lives, but when one negative thing comes our way, that's the thing we remember, not all of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's really great perspective.
Yeah, that's the one thing we focus on.
Yeah.
And I know I'm sure this is true for you, Jose, or I'm assuming it is. I know that at points when, my biggest sort of pivot out of overwhelm or just getting stuck is I turn to gratitude. Like that's my one tool that I can sort of tap into like automatically, because to me, there's always something you can be grateful for in every moment, to quote David Steindl-Rast, like, and to look, and I sort of gets me outside of that negativity to be able to see more positive. It's like I sit there and I'm like, okay, well, this isn't working, but look to what is working. What do you have to be grateful for? What is working? What relationships are working? What collaborations are working? What of your work is really taking off? as opposed to concentrating on the one client that declined or something. And then all of a sudden, because we're in this community, I think there are a lot of like entrepreneurs or soulpreneurs, and, you know, focusing on the one person who you offered whatever you thought was going to, you know, enroll in your services, and all of a sudden they're not. And you're like focus on the clients you have, you know, versus what you don't have. And it's such human nature to focus on what we don't have, you know, so.
No, not only that, sometimes you see your problem, the problem like your problem are the biggest problem. And believe me, when you begin to hear another stories, you can say, wow, my problem is nothing. That's why I try to put the book in that
Yeah.
way, that when the person finish the book can say, wow. I can tell you, my wife, she always tell me, there's a chapter in my book, the chapter 11, that is like a core where we were in the darkest moment. She tells me every time she read that chapter, she cries. And I told her, but I had to put it that way because first it's true that happened. But I really wanted to put the message that even in all those dark moments, you have way to go out. Always. Always. So anybody that can have any bad moment in their life, no matter what it is, it can always go out. But it's a personal choice.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very important message to share, because it's like and people, I've heard people say, is it's like sometimes you can hear a message or a meaning behind something, what somebody is saying, and you can hear it 100 times, but it just takes one person to say it the way that you understand, which your book, I'm sure, can do for many people, for them people to understand and to get the meaning behind what it is, and just to really realize where they have that, as they call it, the aha moment. They go, oh,
Right.
it is
And let me
possible.
something else that for me has been a wonderful lesson. And I always say this. I'm not going to say that I was happy what happened to me, but I really am happy the lessons I have learned after that, because I'm a guy that I got connected with my church. I do church service. I connected with my pastor, so I hear them a lot. I hear their message, and and now knowing things I went through, and now understanding better that the things there are meaning behind that. There was a purpose. There is a master plan. So now you understand better why you went through things in life, and you're more conscious how you use them. You decided, okay, I'm gonna use this for good then.
Mhm.
Because now I have in my case, I have my testimony. So if my testimony can help others, boom, great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things that I was thinking about a lot about what you said, just because in the past, I would say month or two, I've been having a lot of conversations with people who, let's say, have young adult children. So children that are in their 20s, that are working, or, you know, maybe early 30s, but that age group. And I'm very struck by when they talk to me that their children are very disheartened and basically have disillusioned, disheartened, have really kind of like thrown in the towel, that they really, hopelessness was the word they use. And that was really disturbing to me, because I remember being in my 20s and 30s and thinking that anything was possible, you know, like, you know, anything was achievable, that if I put if I worked hard and I put my mind and my heart in something, I was going to. And the thought that young people feel like that was just so sad to me. And I was really struck by that, because I felt like, how do we move people out? Like, how do we get people beyond that sort of feeling that it's just not worth it? You know, I mean, all of them have jobs. None of them are in the careers that they wanted. They're all like working 3 jobs just to barely make ends meet. I mean, they're working, but, you know, they can't, like, so a lot of the things that they had dreamed or thought were possible are now like they're questioning. And
But you
so,
know what? That's my personal opinion. The today's generation, I don't know if it is because of social media or all the, you know, advertising, whatever the all the message they are receiving. Sometimes they fix so high standards in their life, and if they don't achieve it, so they feel that they you know they they are hopeless, and they begin to have this type of negative thoughts. And if the people really will realize, I'm not saying that you don't have to have goals, but if you begin to concentrate more in small things in life and baby step going there, because you said, well, I tell always to young people, in my career, when I began, I have a lot of failures. I went to things, but I never went back. I went down and I bounced back. By that time I didn't know what receiving was meant to be. I didn't know that word. We never knew that word. That's a fancy word that today the people use. but there was perseverance. I don't know how to call it. Now they say that okay, now okay, I was a receiving guy. But we were a generation that I'm with you. We were a generation that were more open to challenges. I see that the people that are maybe in the 20s, in the 32 days, get hopeless very fast. And that's why we really need to talk with them and say, hey, my friend, you have all a life. You have 50 more years in your life. Move on. No.
Right. No, that's a really good point, a really valid point, because I agree with you. I think that the standard upon which people live, like, you know, probably very much outside of themselves versus inside themselves, as I want to say, looking to the external for validation or for, you know, measurements of success and all those things, which are so flighting, because if you concentrate on those usually external aspects, then they're much, you know, then they can go away, and then where are you? As opposed to focusing on what, like, you know, your values and, you know, much more inside as opposed to looking outside. And
yeah, and the social media it leads you to that, because you see a guy or a lady in social media, they're happy, successful,
Perfect.
in their
perfect, right.
and then if you don't get there, so I don't know that, but there's a lot of things with the values that really had to be rethought, and people go more to their inner spirituality. You know, this has been enough. You know, in my church, the church that I'm going, one of the things that really caught me was how much young people are going to the church. A lot of young people going. So that really caught me. When I begin to see so much young people, I said, there is something happening here. Because now they're connecting, because they're talking to the kids exactly that they had to go back to their you know, that their inner spirituality, and be more joyful and more grateful. And when the kids begin to experiment that, it's amazing. The energy that you find with them is really amazing.
I absolutely love that. The other thing that you're cultivating is actually community, which I think, which has been, you know, in the social media and the electronic world, has been quite challenging, especially post-COVID, where, you know, people were isolated and out of community, and a lot, like, in, you know, obviously physically. And so promoting that kind of feeling of togetherness, community, support, in addition to the spirituality, is really powerful, because
it gives you sense of belonging.
that's right.
Yes.
It gives you sense of belonging. And that's so important, because at the end, you can have all the technology, you can have all the AI or whatever you want, but at the end, you are human being. We are human being, and that's the real way we connect, being human being.
Absolutely.
So beautifully said.
Yes, for sure. And And that's one of the reasons, Jan, why we started the Spirit Born Imaginings, was because we wanted to really cultivate that sense of community, of being in a space where it was safe to explore and to really lean into kindness and empathy and compassion, because that's the underlying purpose for what Jan and I do, is just to bring that to self first and to ripple that out into the world. And so we need lots of people like you, Jose, for sure, that's spreading that message that there is always a way out and there is a way forward, even if we can't see it right away. And so we need that. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today. And if people from the group wanted to reach you, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Well, I have two ways. But the first is here in LinkedIn. I have my LinkedIn. I am in LinkedIn. As you know, I'm very active. I'm today doing several things in LinkedIn. I do every weekend. I post my newsletter where, as I said, it's called Building Resilience, and I talk about leadership and resiliency. For example, I posted today. I'm talking about servant leadership. Last week I was talking about the vulnerability. So I always have tried to talk about a specific topic. So what I do is Monday morning in my program I air it simultaneously in a Facebook Live, in a Christian channel, and a LinkedIn audio room, because I love the LinkedIn audio room because the people like to talk. So I bring the people and bring them to the stage. So what I do is talk about my newsletter, and we talk about it. This Monday, I'm going to talk about servant leadership. What is a servant leadership, and ways to get there, and case study, etc., etc. This is one way to connect with me. I do this type of things in LinkedIn, and the other way is in my webpage. My webpage is very easy. It's www.joseconnect.com. In my webpage, you will find everything. I have there my coaching program. You can see all what I can offer. I have my speaking. I have a lot of videos because, knocking wood, I'm getting a lot of exposure with speaking. I'm going to speak this Sunday in a Catholic church that I invited. Next week I'm going to be in Dallas in the Rotary Club. The other week I'm going to be on another Rotary. I'm going to be next month invited to the Permian Bass Symposium. In October I'm going to be in Chicago in an event.
Wow.
So I'm more and more invited to speak about this. So in my page, I have also everything related to my speaking, and you can find my book there. I'm going to do a promotion from this Sunday during all the week, from Sunday to Sunday, Sunday 4 to Sunday 11. I'm going to leave open the Kindle version. I'm going to give it free in my Amazon, because what I'm asking the people to give me a review. I want the people to read it and give me. I want the feedback of the other people. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be giving a free Kindle from this Sunday until next Sunday during a whole week. And there you can find there also my YouTube channel, newsletter. Everything is in my webpage, Jose Connect. You can find me there or here in LinkedIn.
Awesome. And I would encourage people to connect with you and to be around your energy, which is just so wonderful, enthusiastic, and positive. So it's really inspiring. So thank you. And please connect with Jose and anybody else who'd like to get on with us and share a little bit about what they do. We would love to have a conversation, Mary Jane and I, about, what you do and what unique gifts you bring to the world.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.